most people over 50 end up wasting time on workouts that don't deliver real results. But after a decade of working with people just like you, I've worked out the most effective and most overrated muscle building workouts for your age group. So today, I'm going to give you the absolute best and the ones you might want to skip and explain exactly why each one made the cut. Let's begin with the top tier exercises. And of course, before I show you them, they're not suitable for everyone, so please use your own judgment when trying them and avoid them if they cause you pain. The first top tier exercise I like for people over 50 is the goblet squat. And here is how it looks. You just need one dumbbell for it. You're going to hold the dumbbell like this with your palms up, hold it tight to your chest here, keep your back nice and tall, and then you just sit back into a squat like this and then come back up. Now, the reason I like this exercise so much is because it strengthens multiple muscles. It strengthens your quads and your glutes at the same time. So it's a truly brilliant compound movement. It's also safe because with the goblet squat, if you get into trouble and you can't get back up, all you have to do is drop the dumbbell like this. Whereas with the back squat, it's on your back. You get down here, you're in real trouble because it's very difficult to chuck the bar off behind you. It's almost impossible, in fact. So this exercise is much safer. It's also more accessible because you only need one dumbbell. So many people can do this at home quite easily. And if this is too hard for you, I like it too because it can be modified into a sit to stand. So you just take a chair and then you do exactly the same movement, but this time you've got the chair behind you. So you're changing it to a weighted sit to stand rather than a full squat. So again, it's more accessible for a range of different people. So that's the first exercise. But by the way, if you're enjoying this so far and you want a free exercise guide tailored to your level of strength and mobility, you can take my 30-page Stronger for Life roadmap today. You can find details of it in the description box below this video. It's 100% free. And I hope you love it. Let's have a look at the second exercise now, which is in the top tier that works the opposite side of the body. The second top tier exercise for people over the age of 50 is the Romanian deadlift, which looks like this. You can either do it with dumbbells or a bar. I'll show you with dumbbells first. So you bend down to pick up the dumbbells like this, keep your feet about hip width apart, back nice and straight, slight bend in the knees, and then stick your bottom out as you run the weights down the fronts of your legs, keeping them in contact with your legs the whole time, and then stop when you feel a stretch in your hamstrings. Now, the key with this exercise is keeping your back straight like mine is now, and then you just pull it back up to the top. So we're not rounding the spine like this, we're keeping it straight. Stick your bottom out as if you're trying to touch your bottom on the wall behind you. Keep those legs as straight as you can, and then come back up. So that is the Romanian deadlift. And I love it so much because it strengthens your glutes, your hamstrings, and your back. And it also improves a movement called the hip hinge, which is this part of the movement here. Okay, so this helps you to lift better from the floor because you do it whilst protecting your back and using your stronger hip muscles, which are much stronger than your back muscles. And it's also especially good for people with osteoporosis who are told not to round their spine because of a risk of a fracture. So learning how to hip hinge for these people is absolutely vital. Now, the other thing I like it about the RDL, the Romanian deadlift, is you can slow it down so much that you only need to use a little bit of resistance for this to be effective, sometimes just the bar. So what it looks like with a bar is exactly the same, but because you're so slow going down like this, you can really feel that tension build up on the hamstrings, you get the stretch, and then you can come back up. So it's not the sort of exercise you do really fast, you do it slow, and it's even more effective. So that's the Romanian deadlift. Let's have a look at the next top tier exercise now. The next muscle building exercise I like for over 50s is the overhead press. And this exercise strengthens your shoulders and the backs of your arms, called the triceps. It's really versatile because you can do it sitting or standing. You can do it with dumbbells like I am now, or you can use a bar. I'll show you with a stick just to kind of show you the movement. It's exactly the same. We call this the military press. And if you don't have either of those things, you can buy yourself a set of resistance bands and you can do it with a set of bands instead. So very versatile. It works lots of different muscles around your upper body. And it also trains a vital movement that many people lose, which is the ability to reach up. And even if you've still got this ability, many people over 50 lose strength in that movement. And then when you're doing things like putting your luggage in the overhead compartment on a plane, that's when people start to notice, oh, I've lost so much strength up here. It's really not a good thing. But this is also a big muscle builder because it will really work your shoulders and the backs of the arms very nicely. And it works so many different muscles that it makes it a top tier exercise. Let's have a look at another top tier exercise now. The next top tier exercise I'm going to show you today is the split squat. And it looks something like this. You can do it without weights or with some dumbbells. I'll show you without first. You want a step or something slightly raised up behind you that you can rest one of your feet on. And you're going to step back like this. You can either put the toes on or you can put your foot like that if you prefer. It doesn't really matter. You're just trying to get this foot out of the way, okay? And the split squat is very easy. All we do is just dip down like this and then come back up. If you need something to hold on to, you can absolutely have something next to you just to keep yourself balanced. If you really want to challenge yourself, you can do it holding on to some weights. So hold weights in each hand, again, put your foot on the step like this, and then drop down into that squat and come back up. And the idea here is to do somewhere between 10 or 15 on each leg, obviously swapping over, and then you're going to get that huge muscle building effect in your quads and your glutes. Now, the other reason I like this exercise so much is because it improves your balance, because it's a single-sided exercise. It works one side of your body more than the other until you swap, which means it corrects imbalances and improves your actual physical standing balance as well. And it's also highly relevant to walking, climbing stairs, or going up or downhill, which if you think about it are all single-sided movements because we swap from one leg to the other. So this is highly relevant, not just for muscle building, but also for your daily life as well. Okay, so those are my top tier exercises. Let's have a look at the next tier down to the mid tier. The first exercise I'm going to show you from the mid-tier today is the bent over row, which looks something like this. Ideally, you'd use a barbell for this. I'll show you the stick just to demo. And you have the stick or the bar resting on your legs like this. You stick your bottom out as if you're doing that Romanian deadlift, but bend your knees a bit more. And then with the bar, you want to row it up to touch your stomach and then come back down like this. Now, this is actually a great strength builder. It's a superb exercise, but it's more technical than it looks. And I've got a confession to make. I got this exercise wrong for years. I used to think you had to row up like this, where in reality it's actually lower down. So you're just coming up to touch your stomach. You're not trying to bring it up like this, okay? Otherwise you can see what happens to my shoulders. It turns into a traps exercise rather than a back exercise. But it's still a great exercise. But the thing is, if you lift too much weight, and when I say too much weight, it really is just a subtle 1 or 2 kilograms too much. The entire emphasis for most people moves away from the target area and they slightly change their technique. So it either more works their lower back or it works their upper shoulders rather than the muscles in the back it was designed to work. That's why it's so technical. If you can do it right, amazing. But for most people, they're doing it and they're not really feeling that much happen in their back. That's because that little technical change has happened and it's made it less useful. So what do I prefer instead? Well, if I was giving you an exercise to do, I would probably give you the single arm dumbbell row instead. It works the same muscles, but I just find it's easier to do technically. And it looks something like this. You've got a chair or something you can rest your body weight on here, and you're going to use one dumbbell. You reach down and pick up the dumbbell like this, let it hang, and then it's the same thing, but just one arm at a time. You're rowing up just to touch your stomach, and then you come back down. And obviously, after you've done 10 or 15, then you swap sides. So that's the first one. That's what I would do for a back. Let's have a look at the next mid-tier exercise now. The next exercise that I would probably quite controversially put in the mid-tier for people over 50 who want to build muscle is the deadlift. And you might be thinking, well, the deadlift is the king of exercises. Surely this can't be right, but let me explain. First, I'll show you the exercise. So basically what it is you're probably going to want a barbell for this, but I'm going to show you with dumbbells. You're going to bend down like this with your knees bending and your hips bending, pick up the bar, and then basically just put it back down until it stops dead and then go again. So really it's a very functional exercise because you're lifting something heavy from the floor, which is a highly valuable skill, and it definitely does build strength. It's probably one of the biggest strength builders of all. It really is the king of strength. So if strength is your goal, then yeah, absolutely, this could be an A tier exercise. But we're talking about muscle building exercises here. And the issue with the deadlift is it works so many different muscles at the same time, it doesn't really target any one specific muscle. So if you want to grow your muscles, there's better ways to do it, more specific, in fact, than the deadlift. The other issue of the deadlift is it's incredibly fatiguing. So you're much more likely to blow through your entire fuel tank doing the deadlift in each session than you are if you chose some exercises that are slightly on the easier side, but give you more stimulus to fatigue. And then the final issue with the deadlift is, again, it's super technical. It looks easy, but if you get the movement slightly wrong, you are at a higher risk of injury as well, especially for many people in my audience who are just getting started. So it's a great exercise for strength, but if you want to build the most muscle, I reckon there's better alternatives. The next exercise, which I think is mid-tier, even though it's one of my personal favorite exercises, is the lateral raise. And that looks something like this. You start off with either bands or dumbbells and you raise them out to the sides like this and then slowly back down. And you keep going until you start to get some fatigue in your outer shoulder muscles. So what's wrong with this exercise? Why do I think it's mid-tier? Because it's got lots of plus points. It's very effective for building muscle and strength in your middle deltoids. It's also good for strengthening the rotator cuff. But I've met many people who have trouble with it. And when they raise directly out to the side, which is what you should do with a lateral raise, they start to get pinching in their shoulders, or it irritates their rotator cuff. And that's why this video is highly specific for people over 50. This just happens more and more and more as people get older. And I've given this exercise out so many times and had so many patients come back and tell me it's aggravated their shoulders that I always warn people about it now. Now, if that's the case for you, you don't need to ditch it entirely because it is very effective. There are two tweaks you could make. The first tweak is make sure you're not turning your arms down like this, or your thumbs down as you lift the dumbbell, because that does sometimes make the pinching worse. If you can do it without making the pinching worse, fine. But if you're one of the many people with a irritable shoulder, that will sometimes aggravate it. And if that doesn't help, rather than going directly out to the side, try letting your arms drift 45 degrees in front instead. You'll still work your deltoids really well, but it just seems to aggravate existing problems in the shoulder less. Let's have a look at the next mid-tier exercise now. The next mid-tier exercise I'm going to show you today is the good old-fashioned bicep curl. Now, this is probably the most honest exercise of all time. You see people doing this in the gym all the time, and it definitely works. It will help you to grow muscles in your biceps. But the problem is, it's not that functional. We don't really need huge biceps to be able to do life effectively. They are a nice cosmetic muscle, and I'm not disparaging working them, but if you want to get stronger and more independent and more mobile, you could probably spend your time in better ways. Now, the other good thing about the bicep curl, of course, it's difficult to get it wrong. Yes, of course, you see people doing this kind of thing and swinging, but as long as you're not doing that and you're just isolating your elbow movement, it's a great beginner exercise. But I'd like to show you a way that you can make it more effective, especially for the people in my audience who not only want to build muscle, they want to get the most out of their time. They don't want to be in the gym for 2 hours a day. 20 to 30 minutes is enough if you choose the right things. And you can do that by adding a press into that movement. So again, if you want to do the bicep curl, that's fine, but finish it off with an overhead press and then go down. So you're coming up, out, and then in and down like this. And you're going to work your shoulder muscles and your triceps at the same time as working the biceps. The other thing you could do is just ditch the bicep curl altogether and just do the dumbbell row we discussed earlier, because that will still work your biceps, but you'll also get the added bonus of working your back. Now, of course, there's thousands more exercises for me to go through, but let's just say that any exercise, which is an isolation exercise, which means it only works one muscle or one joint, is a mid-tier exercise. There aren't any that would go into the top tier just because they're not that efficient for your time. My goal here is to save you time and effort and still get you the best results. Now, by the way, I mentioned it earlier, but if you want a list of exercises which will get you the best results for your time, get my Stronger for Life roadmap using the link in the description box below. Okay, let's have a look at the lowest tier of exercises, which are the ones that I suggest most people over 50 avoid if they want to build the most muscle. The first bottom tier exercise I'm going to show you today is the tricep kickback, which looks something like this. Now, I think this is one of the least effective exercises you can do if you want stronger arms, because it's got such a poor force activation curve. You actually only activate the muscle from here to here, which is right in what we call its inner range. And research has shown that the most stimulative area to activate a muscle is on the stretch, which is all the way back here. But of course, you've got gravity helping you here, so that does nothing. It's only this bit here. So it's actually not that effective at all. And there's much better alternatives if you want stronger triceps. Try instead the overhead extension if you've got the shoulder mobility to do it. And if you haven't, you should consider a cable push down in the gym, or just a good old-fashioned press with dumbbells or with bands. That can also help you to get stronger arms and chest at the same time. The second exercise I would personally put in the bottom tier for people over 50 is the upright row, which looks like this. And you can do it with a bar, with dumbbells, or with a cable. Now, there's nothing wrong with this movement per se. It's actually not a bad exercise. I just don't like it for most of my clients over 50 because in my experience, most of their rotator cuffs are not that happy with this movement, okay? And if you've got an irritated shoulder, putting it in this position under load can aggravate it and just be too much. And I have had clients who've tried it and said, do you know what, it made my shoulder a lot worse. And I've even had people come into the clinic having done that exercise and caused a rotator cuff problem. So I just think there's better alternatives. Now, if you insist on doing the exercise, you can make it a little bit more effective and less risky in inverted commas by moving your arms out to the side. So you're lifting the bar like this, that would work. Or try the lateral raise instead that we spoke about earlier in the video. The next movement I'm going to put in the bottom tier is tricep dips using a bench. Now again, this is a great exercise, but for people over 50, if you lack shoulder mobility, this can become riskier for you. And again, I just think there's better alternatives. This is how the exercise looks if you're one of the people who is considering it. You're basically going to put your hands on a bench like this, dip down, and then come back up again. And this is supposed to work your chest and also your triceps. Now, the issue here you can see is I need really good shoulder mobility to be able to do it because I have to get my arms right behind me and bear the full weight of my body through those arms whilst I'm in that extended position. So it can become a bit aggravating for shoulder problems. If you can do it without pain, absolutely fine, carry on. But for most people, I would choose a different alternative. And if that's you, I would probably choose a press up over this. And if you can't quite do full press ups, you can certainly do chair press ups, which you use the back of a chair like this. Keep your palms close together if you want to work your triceps, and then come down, touch, and back up. If anything, I think that probably works your chest a bit better. You can almost certainly feel it in the backs of the arms more. So do that instead. And if you can do a full press up, again, that would be much better than doing the tricep dip. And then the final bottom tier exercise I'm going to tell you about today is the behind the neck press, which looks like this. You start with the bar behind your head and then you push up and come back down. I just think, why would you want to do this when you can do the military press instead? It works the same muscles, but stresses the shoulder more, and you've got less risk of dropping the damn bar on your neck. So I would just say, avoid the behind the neck press, move it in front of you. And it's not a bad exercise, but I just don't think it's that necessary, especially for people over 50, if you want to gain the most muscle. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoy this video. But even if you do these best exercises, you still won't get results if you end up wrecking your joints along the way. So I've got another video on the screen right now to make sure that never happens to you. Click on it if you're interested, and I'll see you there.